I'd like to call to order the City Council regular meeting on Tuesday, June 4th, 2013. At this time, we'd like to invite Pastor Shelley Hogan of the Assembly of God Church to come up and give our invocation, after which, if we'd remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Leon, if you would mind leading us in that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Heavenly Father, we just love you and appreciate your presence even in the midst of our business. We thank you for these servants of this city who work diligently to provide the best avenues and resources and opportunities for this community. We pray that you would, as you promise, to order all our steps, lead us and guide us, let favor be on this city and upon these workers and upon this business meeting. And we just give you praise in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We'll move right into the roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Here.
Councilmember Chapados? Here. Councilwoman Gussie? Here. Councilmember Kimball?
Here.
Councilmember Potter?
Present.
Vice Mayor Farrell?
Here.
Mayor Price?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. At this time, we have no proclamations, acknowledgements, or awards to attend to, so we'll move on to number 4, the report from the mayor. At this time, I wanted to let you all know that we have received our bond rating for the city of Maricopa for the first time ever. We have an individual bond rating instead of borrowing off of somebody else's. At this time, we kind of compared ourselves against a pool that we could go and utilize for the state of Arizona. They at one time had a AAA rating. They dropped to a BBB rating, so that's still investment grade, but when you're calculating the dollars that you're going to have to repay over the years, that's very, very painful. So we decided we would compare against the MUSD here, and when MUSD went out for their bond rating, they had an A-, and so we thought, well, we have a pretty good shot of doing this ourselves, and so we traveled to San Francisco, and we met with Moody's and Standard & Poor, and after a variety of work and email by Tom and city staff, we were able to finally get our bond rating, and we received an A+ rating. So it's very good. Not too shabby for right out of the chute, so really appreciate all of the hard work that went into that. We appreciate past councils as well as current council in trying to manage the fiscal responsibilities of this city and managing debt, because that's very, very important. Just so you know, again, that A+ rating will probably save us on the money that we have borrowed to finance the Copper Sky Recreational Complex. It will save us several $1 million in the long run as we pay this back over the term. So it really, really is an important thing, and establishes us as we move higher and higher in the rating agencies in the years to come. So it's a wonderful thing. You also may have not heard the trains go by lately. That's a good thing. The quiet zone is now in effect, and so although the conductor has the ability to blow their horn if they have a perceived dangerous situation on their hands, they may do so, obviously, but at this time there are 4 at-grade crossings, 5 at-grade crossings throughout the city in which they will no longer blow their horns at, and so you may hear them rumbling through, but you won't hear that horn at all hours of the night, and that's a very good thing. We also wanted to thank each and every one of you that had the opportunity to attend the Global Water ACC hearing this past Thursday. We had the opportunity to meet with the ACC. The City Council had submitted a letter to the ACC requesting that they attend here in Maricopa and let the residents be heard as to their favor or opposition as to the rate increase. You can probably guess how that went, and it was not too favorable, but it was good for what the residents got to express to the ACC. In that time, we heard lots of different discourse, and I hope that in the long run, as we begin this process now, as we move into the hearings, it's several months worth of processes still ahead. The city will have its opportunity. Many of the council members were able to attend. We were unable to speak as we are interveners in the case, meaning that we have an attorney, and so as such, we were not allowed to speak, but we were able to go on record as saying that we opposed it at this time. So we do have an attorney, and we are trying to do our best as we fight for the 45,000 residents of this city. So thank you again for each of you who attended. At this time, we also wanted to let you know that we have been inducted into the Maricopa Association of Governments, into MAG is what it's called, and that has been formalized as of last Wednesday, and that is official. So we're off and running with the MPO, just for your information. As well as, at this time, wanted to announce that on Thursday, that's in 2 days from now, here in this building, we'll be having the DCR Alternative Grade Separation Meeting. This is the opportunity for you to come and see the different variations that have been basically comprised to decide on which would be the best variation to select for the 347 overpass that will happen here in the future. And so it's the public's opportunity to come here, see them, listen to the briefings, participate, give your feedback, your information, and have a say in what you feel will be the very best option for that 347 overpass. Council has had an opportunity to see them prior to this meeting, and at this time it's a very unique situation, and it's kind of I like the equation that was put out there. It's kind of like putting a bowl in a closet, and every time you move the bowl one way, you affect somebody or something, and you move it the other way, and you affect somebody or something else. And so no matter what you do, no matter what option you pick, there's pros and there's cons. And so we'd really like each person to be able to come and to give their opinions and their ideas, and basically give their ideas as to what they feel will be the very best selection for this permanent structure that will be here in the near future. So with that concludes the report from the mayor, and I'll move on to the report from the city manager.
Members of the council, and thank you for bringing up the quiet zone. I wanted to just emphasize that has taken about 2 years to accomplish and a lot of work. So I'd like to thank the Development Services Department, particularly Rob Dolson, who saw that through to completion. It took a lot of coordination between several public entities, between the UPRR and the city and ADOT, and so it was a very coordinated effort, and so thank you to Rob Dolson and Development Services for their efforts on that. The second item this evening is a presentation from Community Services Director Jennifer Campbell, who will talk a little bit about our upcoming July 4th celebration called the Great American Barbecue.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. What we'll be doing is every council meeting come and give you guys an update on the Great American Barbecue and where we're at. So first, just wanted to let you know that we put out an RFP, which is a request for proposal, for someone to run the beer garden for that event. We received a proposal from the Maricopa Chamber of Commerce, and they were the ones that won that, so we are happy to be working with them again. They have done this in previous years at different events, so they will be running our beer garden at the event. Also, we had our deadline for applications for food vendors, and we had 14 that applied, so we will be sifting through those and then picking the final applicants that will be at the event. But some of the biggest news that I wanted to let you know is we have landed several different sponsors, so we're excited to present that to you this evening. Coming in for our Sparkling Main Stage sponsor was Oakland Construction for $5,000, so that right now is our Sparkling Main Stage sponsor. For our Playful Americana Game sponsor at $1,000 is Harris Akchin. And we have 3 splashing water slide sponsors at $500 apiece: ATA Karate for Kids, Maricopa Smiles, and Dignity Health. We still have a couple sponsors in the works, so hopefully on the June 18th meeting, I will have more sponsors to let you know that have joined with that event. Also, we are still soliciting volunteer vendors, or no, I shouldn't say volunteer vendors, but volunteers to work the event, as well as business vendors, and we're also working with the Maricopa Chamber of Commerce to get that out to the local businesses. So we're very excited. Staff is working diligently to make sure that this is a great event, and as of right now, we're a month away, so we're excited. We think it'll be a great event for the community, and we're very happy to produce this for you. And just want to let everyone know, if they need any more information on this event, the website created by our own Ruben Garcia, and he puts it up every time, you got to love that, www.gab.maricopa-az.gov. So anyone who wants to know anything about the event, please feel free to go to that website and learn all the great things we have for that event, and we are putting our sponsors up daily. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much. And that's it from the report from the city manager. Great. At this time, we'll move to the call to the public, at which time, if you wish to address the council, you may approach the stand, and we ask you to keep your comments to approximately 3 minutes. That would be appreciated. Thank you. And please just state your name. Thanks, Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom Baxter. Excuse me. Mayor, council members. I'm Tom Baxter. I'm the Executive Director for Maricopa Center for Entrepreneurship. I wanted to take this opportunity to share with you what we've accomplished in the first 90 days since you've brought us on board. It has truly been a pleasure, and this is one exciting community to be working in and for. As you all know, when we had an agreement, when we signed our agreement with you, we had a very specific list of things that were to be done and the dates that were to be completed. I'm pleased to tell you that our first quarterly report, everything is on time, if not ahead of schedule. And again, this is in no small matter as a result of the diligent work of Micah. So I want to tell you how much I really appreciate that you provided him, that he's working with us to accomplish these things. Critical for us. First thing we've got, we were committed to begin training in lunch and learns. Actually, we called them before in the contract lunch and learns. Since they're not so much lunchtime events, they're more like evening events, we're going to call them learn and launch, just for fun. But again, we've begun our program. We're doing 2 a month, and this will continue on through the completion of our contract. And we're having tremendous success. However, in attendance, this last event, we unfortunately scheduled at the same time that we had the Global Water event, and you won. So, however, I won't be doing that again. Again, one of the key components we have here was we needed to design and develop a website. It is up and running, maricopainnovates.com. It's a dynamic, growing website, and so we're changing it on a weekly basis. It does have all of the activities that we're doing and the events that you can sign up on and participate in. Please come and look at it and let me know what else we can add to meet the needs of the community. We've also, all of the forms, all the documents required for operating the incubator have been provided to the city in the format that has been requested, and again, on time, on schedule. We also provided a 1-year business plan, which is the first year of a 5-year business plan, which will be completed in August. Again, presented to the city, and we've had the opportunity to go through it, and it's the foundational for this next step. I think there are some very interesting elements in there, and I'd love to go into it, but I'm not sure if we have time. Right now, again, we were committed to identify a physical location. Actually, that was we did that immediately in February. Again, on time, scheduled. The quarterly reports were provided on time. We were committed to become a member of the Arizona Business Incubation Association, which we completed early, and we're also required to establish, again, the temporary office. The business plan calls for us establishing not just a temporary virtual incubator office, but a facility that we can start to actually have clients hands-on, physical. This is a very critical step for us, and as you read through the business plan, I think you'll see exactly what the vision is. We are actively trying to get all of you all to come and visit our incubator at Maricopa, at the Gateway Community College. And I'm very anxious to get those of you who have not yet had an opportunity to be there to come and to see, because this establishes for you what the vision is that we have and actually I believe you as well, for the future for Maricopa Center for Entrepreneurship. And last and not least, one of our commitments, of course, is to establish clients. And so we do have our first client, and I'd like to introduce to you our first client, Jim Burgess. Jim is the owner and operator of All About Promotions, and we've been working together, and he'd like to take an opportunity to share with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Mayor and Council, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. I've been in business since 1979. I know some of you from past experiences. This has been a real pleasure for me because I've been paying taxes, a lot of taxes, since 1979, and this is really the first time that I feel like that I'm getting any assistance at all from the government. I love Maricopa, and I love you guys. I think you're doing a terrific job. Tom's helped me with setting some goals and objectives for my business. He's helped me with making some decisions on search engine optimization and updating my website. And he's been very, very helpful in helping me to set some goals and objectives. as you get older, things change and the world is getting a little more competitive for old guys. And so I need some young blood to help me revitalize my business. But I do want to thank you for this opportunity to be involved in this program. I think it can help Maricopa, and I think we can get some tax revenue to help pay some of your expenses here. But thank you very much for being such a great council. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Anyone else like to approach the council at this time during call to the public? Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close call to the public and move on to the minutes. Items 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3. Can I have a motion to accept, please? Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. At this time, we have no additional public hearings, and we'll move on to consent agenda. At this time, may I have a motion to approve consent? Yeah. No, 9.8's off. That's in the regular agenda. So this is just by way of clarification, this is consent minus 9.8 at this time. So again, can we have a motion again? Did you motion, Councilman? Okay, so we have a motion, and the second, I apologize, was Councilman Chapados. Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll move to the regular agenda, at which time we will move to item 9.8. At this time, 9.8 reads, basically, we shall discuss and possibly take action on the City and Maricopa nonprofit funding program applicants and evaluation results, and make a recommendation for funding consistent with the formal adoption of the fiscal year 13-14 budget. Staff also requests the mayor and city council to approve and authorize the city manager to execute the agreements. This is for discussion and action, and I will turn it to Councilwoman Gussie, as she had a few questions and thoughts that she wanted to raise.
There was a lengthy meeting held with the entire council regarding this item, and unfortunately I wasn't able to attend. So a lot of these items might be repetitive, but I just wanted to talk about them for my benefit, since I wasn't there, and for the public. I had a couple of questions. One of the questions that came from one of the individuals that submitted for the nonprofit, they had asked the question, why was over half of our funding going to Eco Inc. only? And when it should have been spread out a little more evenly. And I only had two questions for Eco Inc., and unfortunately she's not here, but I know she answered the questions for you. And one of the questions was, why would they not accept partial funding as the other groups had intended to do so? And would you be able to speak on that?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of council. Unfortunately, Mary Wachowski, grants manager, can't be here, so it's me. If I may, I did reach out to Eco Inc., who's also not available to be here. I did get a written response, and if I could pass that out to get it into the record, and then I can come back and address.
Thank you.
And so the question is, why would Environmental Concerns Organization not accept partial funding? As Mayor and Council understands, they actually submitted two applications, one for $78,000 and one for $30,000. The $78,000 application, or I'll start with a $30,000 application, is for the Tire and Household Hazardous Waste Program. As the response says, they basically put that forward based on past history. They did indicate in the letter that any budgetary savings of that $30,000, they could either go out for another program or return unused funds. The $78,000 program is for their Health and Human Service Quality of Life, and basically what they indicated is the $78,000 funds three positions, three full-time positions, and as I understand it, there is one full-time volunteer. It's kind of spelled out in the response, and basically the response was, if they're unable to get the full funding, they wouldn't be able to provide the services, as outlined. basically. And there was also another question, Councilwoman, if I may, regarding applying for additional funding. They did indicate they did apply for additional funding from Pinal County back in 11-12 and 12-13 to the tune of about $21,000. Pinal County did cut that funding. I believe the most recent amount of funding they received from Pinal County is $2,000. They also do get the use of a 2-acre property for $1 a year. In essence, for free, and they do use that as an in-kind match on grant applications that they submit.
From the county, yeah. Vice Mayor Farrell had an interesting comment that was raised at the meeting, if you wanted to talk about that, speaking to the law, basically, and needing that facility and those types of things. Do you want to expound on that?
Well, yeah, it's required to have these type of programs within a municipality in the state of Arizona. And I don't know the exact code and the exact law numbers, but I do know that it is required in the state to have these recycling programs.
I think it's required to pick up the trash 2 days a week by certain statute. And so I know at one time we were looking at potentially one day being a recycling day. And so that's what I recall. I mean, if there's something changed in the statute about it, because I mean, there's several communities that don't have recycling programs that are looking into recycling programs.
Are they communities or municipalities?
I mean, cities.
They're cities?
I mean, I know the city of Coolidge doesn't have one.
Because I was under the understanding that every municipality, it was required by the state to have a recycling program.
I think some municipalities, if I recall right, the state statutes, trash has to be picked up 2 days a week, and I think some cities have used the second day to be an eco day or a recycle day. And so that makes them qualify for the state statute, is that one day is just trash going to the wherever, but the second day is all recycled out of objects, and so they satisfy the state statute. That's my remember about the trash pickup.
Gina could give us a better perspective on that. I had read it in a report that she had given in Pinal Partnership. So that's where I'd gotten that from.
I did have another question. This is for the council. During our meeting, did we discuss how we would consider, are we going to reconsider how we apply the nonprofit funding? One of the remarks that I had gotten from someone in the public was the fact that they felt it wasn't fair that we were giving more than half of our funding to this organization. But also, we never got one letter from the hoarder that has all the tires in their backyard saying, you know, I support this program. Nor did we get those individuals that have the washing machine in their front yard either, as decorative pieces, that they love this program. But yet we got tons of letters from, all of us, got tons of letters from the young kids in the community saying that they wanted to have funding for their programs. And we also got I don't know if we realize that most of the funding that we did not fund is to help the kids in this community. So that was one of my concerns, and when they brought, you know, it was a light, I guess I thought a little more in depth, yeah, you know, they are right. We are taking away from the voiceless kids in this community something that we could have given. So my question to you all is, during that meeting, which I wasn't present unfortunately, did we discuss how we are going to consider future nonprofit funding?
I would actually turn that to Councilwoman Chapados, as she's kind of leading that effort, but we did not discuss it there, as we were trying to fix this part first because it deals with the fiscal year's budget. However, there's additional information to be disseminated, so.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Councilwoman, we didn't really get into that specific. That's going to, as I understand it, come before the BFO in the near future. But I do want to say that Gina was there at that special work session, and several of us asked her outright, you know, obviously you have the biggest chunk of the pie. What would happen if one of those chunks went away? And as I understand it, and maybe Chief Stahl can jump in here, when people are assigned by the courts to do community services, if we didn't have this facility here, there might not be an option for community service as part of the sentencing. they might have to go to another municipality that would provide this. So there's definitely a service that this money does provide. Again, as Mr. Dunsing said, that if the household hazardous waste saves money, we may see some of that come back. But the other thing is, through talking with some of these nonprofits, I want to acknowledge that a lot of them were willing to take partial funding, which is why we were able to fund a sixth organization, which was all the kids that we got the emails from. We were able to fund CASA. But I think one of the things that I know myself, I'm doing some research, and I've been talking extensively with Mayor Witkowski, what we're seeing, and some of my research, a lot of municipalities are eliminating nonprofit funding awards, or they're putting caps on it. So I think at the BFO meeting, I look forward to sharing some of the things that I've found in discussions with the rest of you and with staff to see how we can do this more equitably.
So just in clarification there, Councilwoman, you're right. I mean, there are some disparities in this program, and we knew that going into this, and that's what we're trying to address and fix. And so that for next year, we're going to go back and revamp the system as a whole, as if that's the council's will, but certainly we're going to address this first through a subcommittee and start to generate these ideas and come up with these thoughts and then readdress that. So, but as to CASA, what was the young lady's name? Priscilla was there, and we had a very good dialogue for probably 45 minutes with Priscilla about CASA and what she could and could not do. And so we were able to go and kind of mix and match some of these numbers so that, very much we relied on what you had said earlier, which was that you kind of had hoped for a third reduction across the board. And even though we're not able to apply that on the eco side, we really did it with the other 2 or 3. And then we just kind of said, well, against abuse, they were asking for so little. They were the number 1 person on that list. We decided to go ahead and fully fund them. Eco was fully funded based on the essential need that was viewed by the council to the city. And then the other 3 took reductions, and we were able to discuss with Rotary as well as MASH, and then especially CASA. And CASA agreed that they would be able to find additional revenue sources out there and raise money as well, so as not to be so heavily reliant on us for that. But then when you look at a cross-section of MASH and CASA, you really find a lot more children's programs than by itself. So certainly maybe not as heavily weighted as we would have liked it to be, but at the end of the day, there was something in there for them. So again, dealing with the limitations, I think this was a kind of a compromise and a broad swath while still reducing the overall funding that was originally put in there. So.
All right, and those were all the questions I had. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Any other questions or concerns, thoughts? And just by way of council, again, we talked it initially being to the BFO. It doesn't have to go to the BFO. We could create another subcommittee that is specifically for the revamping of this. It doesn't have to be the BFO. However, if we talk about dollar amounts at some point, the dollar amount will go back to the BFO, but it doesn't have to be at the BFO. So we could create a secondary subcommittee for those that are interested, an ad hoc committee. Exactly. Okay. With that, if there's no additional questions, we need a motion to approve 9.8. Have a motion, is there a second? And a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. With that, thank you, Tom. We'll move on to item 10.1. Mayor and City Council shall consider a request by Human Resources Director Karen Schaefer to approve an employee benefits package funding level for fiscal year 2013-2014 with Health Net for medical insurance, Emeritus for dental insurance, Emeritus for vision insurance, Fort Dearborn for life insurance, and Lincoln Financial for short-term disability insurance, and also to authorize the city manager to execute applicable contracts once drawn. This is for discussion and action. Karen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It is my pleasure to be before you to introduce our proposal for benefits for fiscal year 2013 through 2014. I'd like to do a couple of things before I go into my presentation. I want to remind you that our staff report is in your packet. We have also included all of the health plan proposals that were presented to us initially in April. We also have, and those are related to PPO plans or preferred provider organization plans. We also have in your packet those proposals that were sent to us from a variety of carriers related to a high deductible health plan, to dental and vision plans, to life insurance and long-term disability plans. Also in your packet, we have a summary of benefits for the 500 deductible PPO plan. We also have a summary of benefits for the high deductible, that's the $3,000 deductible plan. And last but not least, we have a list of the different levels of pharmaceuticals, so prescriptions. Those were included in your packet. In addition, tonight, I thought it might be helpful because some of you did come to the employee meetings, but some of you weren't able to. So I wanted to make sure you had a full presentation of what was presented to the employees about these health plans. One of the key things that I want to bring up is that we put a lot of time, a lot of energy. We conducted 25 employee meetings. In fact, from last week through this week, we had a meeting pretty much every 2 hours, and those meetings were for 2 hours. There was a presentation part, and then there was a question-answer part. So we really put forth an effort to communicate to employees what potentially the council would be reviewing. We did that so that the employees wouldn't be surprised tonight or a couple of days ago to see what we were presenting to the council for benefit renewal. One of the reasons we did that is because we are moving away from quite a bit the traditional health plans that we've had in the past, and we wanted to make sure every single employee had an opportunity to listen to the information, to make a decision based on the information that they had, and to also have all of the people who are related to those health insurance carriers be able to ask them questions. The other thing I'd like to mention is we also have in your packet, besides that handout for the PowerPoint, we also have a list of some of the eligibility requirements for a health savings plan, just so that's for your review, and anybody who wanted a copy of that, please feel free to ask me. I will be glad to send that on to you. The other thing that I wanted to do was introduce to you some of the people on our team who helped us not only gather information, but come to the recommendations that we are presenting to you tonight. First, I'd like to really thank the Benefits Subcommittee. We had about 4 meetings, 4 weeks in a row. They went from 3 to 4 hours, so, and we did not provide dinner. So they were there, and they were diligent. We did calculations. We turned over every stone. We looked at every option. We thought primarily about the employee, how this would affect their pocketbook. We looked at our budgeting. We looked at our budget deficit. We looked at, the maximum amount that we could budget, and we also paid very close attention to what was happening in our workforce, in that we have employees, and we always say they're doing more with less. Thank God the council brought us those, those care packages that kind of helped. We've done some other things to kind of help that. But we were really concerned that this paradigm shift from what we've been doing would affect the employees. So I want to thank Mayor Price, I want to thank Councilwoman Gussie, and I want to thank Councilman Brown for being diligent and staying there with us through the thick and thin. Thank you very much. The other thing I'd like to introduce is kind of the team I have in place. I call them my extra employees. We have Todd Chamberlain from the Mahoney Group. He truly is our fourth employee, and I work him like, I won't even say how I work him, but he gets paid less than the other people who work for me.
Did they give you a room at City Hall? Because you were spending some late nights.
He lives there. We also have Christine Walker from HSA Bank, who has given us just a wealth of information in terms of eligibility requirements and everything related to establishing an HSA bank account. I want to introduce Mr. Michael, is it Paulson? Paulson. He is our representative from HealthNet. All of these people were at the meetings, they came with information, they came prepared, they answered very hard and difficult questions. Do I have anybody else here? I also want to thank Vanessa Bellin, who scheduled these meetings with us through thick and thin, stayed through the meetings, prepared paperwork, all kinds of things. I just want to thank people before I get into this presentation. So, as a prelude, what I want people to understand is this. Because we were currently on a fiscal year benefit renewal, we were looking at ways to coincide our deductions or our premium deductions, our health care deductions, with the calendar year. As a result, we think we've come up with some solutions there. The other thing that I wanted people to understand, and please be patient with me because I think this requires time and explanation both to the employees and to the public. The other thing that we wanted to help people understand is we always go to the market in March. The reason for that is healthcare providers want to see at least 9 months worth of claims because they think 3 months is a fluke, 6 months, something could happen in those last 3 months. So because we're on a fiscal year, we go from June to March to give them that information. That means that they look at that information and they try to get information back to us by April. We don't just go to the market to our current provider, wait for them to give us a proposal, and then go out to market. We wait until we get every single proposal from every healthcare provider, and then we present that to the subcommittee. We started looking at those rate proposals, and we started looking at them as soon as we got them. We got those things about April 1st, the first week in April. We began having our subcommittee meetings April 8th. We met through May 9th. That's the kind of schedule we were on. We met every single week. So I wanted everybody to understand that. We had some very strong and intense communication meetings with the employees, as I mentioned before, to make sure, and we made these mandatory meetings so that we would be able to explain to them what was being proposed to council. As of today, we had about 150 attendees. We have about 214 employees. Currently, we have about 196 employees on the benefit roll. So we have about 3/4 of the people who came to the meetings. Also, at this point, I would like to get into my presentation and give you some of the background that happened there. And I always forget how to do this. Okay. So the benefit renewal process, again, began in January. That's not when we get the quotes, but it's when I say to Todd, let's go out there and start doing something. The city requested bids for health insurance and for everything related to health insurance. We, in April 2013, we got those bids that we were looking at from a bunch of carriers. We began meetings with the Personnel and Benefits Subcommittee. One thing I want to draw your attention to is, if this is a surprise to anybody, insurance companies are in it to make money. They looked at a variety of things. They looked at our utilization, which, I'm going to say this in public, was almost 99% of our premiums. That means what we paid out in premiums, we also used in claims. So our employees went out and used those benefits. Insurance companies look at about an 85 utilization. We're at 99. The stars were kind of lining up against us. We came back, or the health providers came back with 18 to 40% increases, which was not acceptable. We went back out, tried to convince them to come back with more reasonable percentages and proposals. On May 9th, we received final bids from all the carriers. And this was the final meeting we had with the Personnel and Benefits Subcommittee. We received recommendations from the Personnel Subcommittee, and we are hence moving forward with the current request. In the summary of proposals, to me it blows my mind, but it may not blow your mind. United Healthcare, our current provider, came back with a 26.44 increase. That was on the 250 deductible plan. And I'm going to compare these by the deductible plans. Cigna came back with a 25.6% increase. You can see the other ones. Aetna, 17. Blue Cross Blue Shield is always, the prime Madonna, I would say. They came back at 36. HealthNet, even on their 250 deductible, came back quite high. So they were very high there. United Healthcare, Cigna, Aetna, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and HealthNet, you can also see where they came back on increases for the $500 deductible. We also had different plans that HealthNet came back with, and I'll explain just a little bit about those. The HealthNet alternate plan had to do with a higher deductible. It wasn't the HDHP, which would allow you to have a health savings account. But we also looked at what we used to call, in my day, an HMO. And basically, it is a HealthNet banner network only. It means that you can only go to those networks where Banner is involved. Only Banner gets to tell you where to go. We looked at those and we said it's probably not the thing that our employees want to be tied down to. They don't want to be restricted. So as a result, we looked at the high deductible health plans. We saw that HealthNet, and let me back up a little bit. Most companies, even cities, Avondale, Phoenix, Paradise Valley, are moving to HSA plans only, or high deductible health plans only. We looked at what we had received as far as high deductible health plans. We saw that HealthNet was 5.9%, which is single digits as opposed to double digits for the other health plans. We also looked at a summary of premium options to the employees under United Healthcare. As you can see, the premium increases were somewhere between 165% and 298%. This is just what the employee would be paying in additional premium. Other medical options that we looked at, of course, was the banner-only network. We looked at self-funding. Part of self-funding means that you have to have a third party administering that. That adds 10 to 15% of your cost. So had we been in a self-funded plan this year, we would have paid 10 to 15% more than we paid in premiums to United Healthcare. We also looked at the Arizona Public Health, Arizona Employees Health Pool. Primarily, they're in northern Arizona. The network is limited, so we ruled those out. We looked at the Arizona Metropolitan Trust. You have to have a 3-year commitment, and oh, by the way, they were not taking new clients this year. I also want to show you what our current health benefits are. We have a $500 deductible, a high deductible health plan. We've had this high deductible health plan. This is the 4th year that we've had it, so it's not a new plan that we're introducing. It's just we're focusing more on that along with the PPO. We've had a health savings plan for 4 years, and currently we have a dental plan through MetLife. We also have vision insurance through Emeritus. We have Fort Dearborn for life insurance, and we have Lincoln Financial Services. I want to reiterate that the medical coverage that we are recommending takes full advantage of the IRS regulations for putting away tax dollars in a savings account. And I will get to that in a minute. The benefits that we're recommending are a combination, and let me just add a little bit to that. We started out with a high deductible health plan. We had meetings with employees. We listened to employees. We brought that information back to the subcommittee, and we heard that we'd like options. So we added an option. As you can see from the other information that I have projected up there, all of the options were higher options. At this point, we are recommending a high deductible health plan. We have also requested from Health Net an 18-month rate what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, that thing. Which means that our rates won't change for 18 months, plus we would be on a calendar year which would coincide with your deductible. So if you have a deductible for 2014, this health plan will coincide with that. We're also, in addition to that high deductible health plan, we have chosen to offer a health savings account through HSA Bank, which I'll talk a little bit more about that. We've also added a $500 deductible PPO plan. This health plan for medical is also through Health Net. It also gives us 18 months worth of coverage, again, calendar year. Dental benefits through Emeritus, 18-month coverage. So we're gonna go through 2014, and I don't know about you, but I'm very happy about that. Vision benefits through Emeritus. We are recommending life insurance benefits through Fort Dearborn, short-term disability benefits through Lincoln Financial. Here's where it gets really, I think, great for the employees. The Health Net PPO plan, with the PPO plan, there is no contribution from the city other than the premium that we would have paid for the high deductible plan. So the employee will pay the difference between our premium for the high deductible plan and the actual premium for the $500 PPO plan. They will also not be eligible for a $50 per pay period contribution. If an employee later decides to join the HCHP or HSA plan, The initial $1,000 contribution from the city of Maricopa is not available. I felt like I missed my big one. Okay, anyway. These are the deductibles, or these are the premiums that employees would be paying per pay period on this PPO, this other option that was requested for health insurance, where before employees were paying nothing, they would be paying $58 per pay period, give or take 75 cents. Employees plus spouse would be paying about $178, that's about $300 a month. Employee plus children would be paying about $300 a month. Family would be paying over $500 a month on this new plan. So we're comparing the high deductible health plan with this plan, and employees have this choice. If approved by the council, concurrent with this change, the city would move to a calendar year versus our current fiscal year for health insurance beginning July 1st. The city would enter into an 18-month agreement with HealthNet, with our vision, and with our dental, and this plan would be rolled out in July and would be effective until the end of the calendar year 2014. Again, our recommendation is, because HealthNet, the HDHP plan, showed about a 6% increase in an 18-month guaranteed rate. The annual insurance premium is estimated to be about $1.8 million. Dental, again, it shows you we have a high and a low plan. The estimated premium is about $181,000. I should put my glasses on. $181,000. It has two options. We are actually looking at a 1.87 increase in annual premium. So you know, it's under 10% for a lot of these. Again, kind of the plan, how much approximately it would cost us. As you get into vision and life insurance, you can see the annual premiums are a lot lower, $29,000 as opposed to $6,600. Here's one of the things that I think is just wonderful. I'm going to skip short-term disability because they had the highest increase of them all, and we have to pay for that. But we have a very good plan, and we get rates for a couple of years. If an employee chooses an HDHP, the city will immediately deposit, as of July 1st, $1,000 into their HSA bank account. They will also deposit the first $50, if you see that, an additional $50 per pay period for 24 pay periods. They will also contribute the first $50 in July in that pay check. Now, because of the transition in the way our payroll system works, the July 1st check is also actually part of this fiscal year. So we're not going to show that $1,000 and $50 until their July 18th check. Does that make sense for you? You can see what that's going to cost us, but the great thing is we'll be contributing by the end of 2013, $1,600 into the employee's HSA bank account, which will help offset some of the deductions associated, the $3,000 deduction associated with this plan. This is benefit budget information. We're estimating that the total budget is about $2.4 million. This is estimated on the number of employees that we currently have on the benefits plan. That could go down. Some of us are, as I look at my husband, some of us have military benefits, which makes us ineligible for this plan. And so some people may be moving to their spouse's plan. That may go down. Other people may go, whoo, $1,000, $1,650 per pay period. They do the math, and they're going, you know, if I don't use it a lot, I can have a savings account. So the fiscal year 13-14 budget is based on 217 employees, staff, which is our fabulous finance director, Tom, may seek contingency funding if the plan exceeds 196 employees. So our recommendation is that council approve this package for the 2013-2014 year and at those funding levels. The one thing that I would add is this has been a very thorough. I think we've done our due diligence. I think we've answered a lot of questions. Employees will need to enroll in this program. They will need to enroll and make application to HSA Bank because of the Patriot Act. Yeah, we're throwing that around now. To make sure that to make sure that they are who they say they are. They have to do that by June 13th, or their accounts may not be funded, they may not get their insurance cards, and lots of just other bad things could happen. But I think I have included a lot of information, but I know there are questions, so please, questions.
Council, questions? Councilman Potter. For the presentation. A couple questions that you did iterate that with the PPO plan, if an employee chooses to do that, they pick up the difference in the premium?
Yes.
So in other words, the net cost to the city is zero. There's no difference in cost.
It's the same. There is no additional cost because we are basically paying the premium for the high deductible health plan for everybody. Here's the other thing. Remember when we went to the 180-20? We're paying 100% of the premium under the HDHP plan for employee plus spouse, employee plus children, and family.
Okay, and in this last year, do you know what the percentage of employees use the HDHP option versus the other? Well, we had two. We had a total of 3, correct? So what percentage of eligible employees use the HDHP? Do you know offhand?
I might not know offhand, but I can tell you that for the HDHP...
Yeah, I'm doing the HSA, so it'll be zero.
Maybe Todd, you have that.
Mr. Mayor, I believe I recall that number was 16, was it not, that were in the HSA, and then the other 180 were in either the base plan or the buy-up plan, which is your standard PPO
So as a
plans.
percentage is about 8%, right, roughly?
It was
That's
low.
small. It's
Yes,
probably the
sir.
smallest.
It was small.
It was low, which is...
The smallest plan that was signed up for by employees.
Yeah, it's the smallest plan other than employee only.
Okay, and currently, I know you had the meetings with employees. Do you have a rough estimate of how many, percentage-wise, and then with just the 2 options that went ahead and signed up for the HDHP as proposed?
We have asked them because we didn't want to be presumptuous.
Well, did they apply? I don't, for the last, when you had the meetings, were they actually signing up, getting ready?
No.
Okay.
No, this was strictly
Okay, so we
to
don't
give
know
them
yet.
as much information as possible
Okay,
so that
okay.
they could make a decision.
Until we-
What we
if
asked
we
them to
approve
do
it, right? Okay.
is to wait, not be presumptuous that council would approve this,
Okay,
but to
thank
wait
you.
until after today to see what happened, and then make their or sign up and enroll.
Okay, so we don't really know until if it's approved, what percentage of employees
We
would take
won't, but we will
that
keep
option.
track of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And with those that are signed up or have been signed up with HDHP, are they still eligible for the $1,000? Is that for all employees that sign up, regardless if they're signed up or not before with the HDHP?
Absolutely. There are a couple of, if you look at the last document that we gave you, HSA eligibility, there are a couple of circumstances where employees are not eligible for contributions into their HSA bank.
Okay.
Those of us who are on TRICARE, which is a military dependent, you probably know about that, healthcare, Indian Health Services, and Medicare. However, other than Indian Healthcare and TRICARE, we have tried to make all of our employees kind of consistent. So we've found a way to even contribute to those on Medicare. It just would not be pre-tax, and it would not go into their HSA bank.
Okay. Mayor, if I may add, at my first inclination, when I first saw it, I think it was HDHP only was the proposal. And, I actually am familiar with the plan. I'm quite comfortable with it, but my concern, that wasn't for me, it was for the employees of going from 3 to 1.
To 1.
And being the manner of how the plan is, the high deductible plan, just in itself, if you're not accustomed to it, can be scary, shocking for yourself and for a family. So I'm glad that the second option was added into it. Now, what was the general consensus of the employees? Were they happy?
Before or after?
After the additional.
Well, okay, I won't bring out my red book.
Okay.
After. Basically, I had comments like, I'd be kind of crazy to go on the PPO plan for $500 a month. I think the money that is going into my account might be better for me. I mean, people are already talking about how to put in the maximum amount into the HSA, because you can also look at that as a deferred savings account. And so if you are a low user, you're just saving that money. I think the other comment was, wow, I'm glad we have another option, because for single employee-only employees, it may make better sense, particularly if they're on costly medication per month. It may make more sense to pay $115 per month for premium than pay $500 for a prescription per month. So I've heard all of that. I have a book of things I've heard.
Other questions?
Any other questions?
Yes, Councilwoman Gussie.
Questions already been asked. I know we feared during our meetings that our employees were going to be very upset and have you seen that? I mean, I know you mentioned that they've got, but have you seen them upset at this new, or has, maybe the $1,000 and the $50 per paycheck, has that really bought them into this plan?
Initially, I went to pretty much every meeting. Those emotions ran from I get it to what the heck are you doing to us? After we introduced the second option, I haven't heard that. They might just be hiding things from me, but I haven't heard that. So, our employees, let's face it, they're pretty vocal.
Mr. Mayor.
Whether they're vocal to you or us.
One other comment that came up is that when they had gone through the meetings with our broker and staff, is they realized costs were going up whether we did Plan A or Plan B.
Yeah.
I think it was an educational process in just the fact that the costs were going to go up pretty high, no matter what options we gave them. So it helped them to see those numbers during those meetings to go, wow, we didn't quite realize this is what was happening in the insurance industry. And
Yes.
so that was an eye-opener, I think, more than anything.
Very good. Excellent.
If I may just kind of summarize this, I mean, again, just for our employee standpoint, I mean, as a council, we're torn between two really important things, and that is, how do we fiscally manage the affairs of the city in light of a 35 to 40% increase, while at the same time, dealing with budget deficits and TPT, and at the same time, how do we deal with retention, and how do we deal with employee satisfaction and attracting good talent here? And so these were all the things that went through the council's, the subcommittee's mind, and Tom was there, and Brenda, and Danielle, and Karen, and Vanessa, and I mean, I can't reiterate enough how much we went over this over and over and over, and we brought back ideas and rehashed things, and tried to create new federal law for Todd to say, this is what we want to see, and he laughed at us and said, no, it doesn't work that way, and I mean, at the end of the day, it really was a balancing act, and going back and forth, and we looked at other cities, and everybody is struggling with this. When you're trying to put a 40% increase on 200 employees, and cities like Mesa have 3,200 employees, I don't know how they're dealing with that. So when you look at Glendale and you look at Avondale, they're moving to this 100% HSA because that's where it's moving as a whole. So we really tried to consider the bulk while at the same time consider the fringes, and I really give the subcommittee props for listening to at the very end. I mean, we really thought there is no way to do this, and I remember having a meeting in Brenda's office at last hour, last minute, and some of the feedback that we had received from some of the employees, and went out to the subcommittee, and we said, well, if we can help the fringe people on the outskirts, these single employees or people with high usage, and even though there's a higher amount that they pay, if the numbers work out in their favor, maybe there is a reason for the second option. And so, I think at the end, when you look at that and go, oh my gosh, I could have to pay $550 more a month for health care, that's nuts. And so but you have to weigh that option in your own family. And so we really tried, just as to the council, we really tried to say, how do we balance all of these shifting dynamics and this financial overlay while protecting the interests of 45,000 residents from a fiscal standpoint, and yet at the same time considering the feelings and the ideals and the retention of our employees, and how do we balance all of this? And it really was a very much in-depth back and forth, and that's why these meetings took so long, because we went back and forth and back and forth, and when we thought we had something dead, we'd resurrect it and put it back up on the whiteboard and go over it again and hash numbers, and it was really intense. But I think that what we see here is the best of the scenarios possible, because I remember the first meeting, and I remember opening the front page, and poor Todd's trying to tell us, here's the news. He didn't say bad news or good news, he said the news, and I remember just putting my head in my hands because it's that ugly. And so, like I said, to the council, I would say this is absolutely the best of all options with the balancing act as best as we could make it. And I hope people see that through the education process, because we struggled so hard on this.
Yes, and we will continue to educate through June 13th, which is when we need the forms in. But I think, as the mayor said, this is so helpful for employees, where before we used to show what you pay and what the city pays. This really is an eye-opener in terms of how the premiums are going up, and where healthcare is going, and lots of other things. They ask lots of good questions, and I applaud our employees for giving us great feedback. So at this point, I am...
Any other questions or concerns, City Manager Fisher?
I just want to echo that I really appreciate the work that's been done, and that our employees did speak up, and even more so that the subcommittee listened. Because I think it's important for our employees to know that their concerns and their feedback during this process did not fall on deaf ears. It wasn't, well, that's how it is.
Right.
We listened, we refigured it, and we came back with additional options. So I really like that, how this process worked in that way, and I want to commend everybody that was involved for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you to City Manager Fisher. Always want to throw that in.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilman Potter.
Move to approve 10.1 as proposed.
I have a motion to approve. Can I have a second, please? I have a second. So at this time, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all your work on this. With that, we will go ahead and conclude this session. We appreciate you sticking around for our 3 meetings this afternoon. And with that, kind of motion to close. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.